Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it's me, screaming into the void of the internet. Alright, I'm gonna talk about something that, I guess it's kind of out of the blue, because I don't really talk about stuff like this. Heck, I'm not even the biggest anime fan. But I kind of want to talk about this anime that was something about, like, a zombie list, 100 things that they wanted to do before they turned to a zombie. I'll, like, post, like, the name in the, description box or something, yeah. But I kind of want to talk about it because it had a really interesting message about how, I guess, repetitive life can become, how monotone life can become. Essentially, it's about, like, a guy who essentially was just working a job, an office job, and he hated it so much, and it was just like he was repeating the same day over and over again. Everything became so bland and boring and whatnot. And it took a zombie apocalypse, in his eyes, to, like, make him see color again, to make him care about life. He didn't care about life. He didn't care about, living and whatnot because of how annoyed he was with that job. And again, I apologize in advance if you hear these dogs. I cannot stand the barking, but whatever. It's nothing I can do. I'm trying to get this done while I can, just in case they start going crazy. But it took a zombie apocalypse to, like, make him see color. Because his life had become so meaningless in his eyes that, like, all he saw was black and white. And throughout the show, like, you meet a few characters that are not necessarily in the exact same boat, but, like, similar, where it's meant to explain how bland and controlled and contained that life can feel when you're essentially being controlled, by the state and stuff like that, and you're just locked into just bills, trying to meet other people's expectations. You never get to do what you want to do with your life. He had a friend who was a very successful on the outside person. He had a lot of money. He dated a lot of girls. But essentially, when he, like, met up with his friend, he was saying none of that made him happy. All of that made him miserable, and what he really wanted to do was be a comedian. And basically, the premise of the anime in general was about pursuing your dreams, pursue what really makes you happy, regardless of, what others may think. And I thought that was actually a message that I actually really can get behind. Anime, in my opinion, is really pretty crappy as of late. I used to grow up with stuff like Berserk. I grew up with stuff like Claymore. I grew up with stuff, to me, that, like, I don't know, just kind of speak to me. Heck, even Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, that was a really powerful message, in my opinion. It was talking about, like, political corruption and inequity between citizens just because of where they come from, So I liked stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff I grew up with. These kids these days get, like, freaking High School XD and, well, not High School XD, DxD, I don't know, maybe it's DxD, whatever, it's like ecchi harm crap, isekai, like, I mean, it's just repetitive and bland and unexciting, in my opinion. But the message of that anime, even though the anime itself was pretty mid, I'll be honest, it's gonna be one that sticks with me because, I've always felt like there's so many of us that have so much that we want to do, so much that we want to explore when we, I guess not when, but if we had the ability to, right? And unfortunately, we cannot really ever experience that. And I'm sorry in advance, man, but it's not really much I can do. Can't stand dogs sometimes. I really can't. But, we can't really explore that. And I don't know. I guess it locks us into this feeling of this, like, monotonous journey where we're just doing the same thing over and over again. And what we really want to do is, innovate, explore, just sometimes experience things, Sometimes it's not about us, like, creating anything. Sometimes it's not about us being the next, Steve Jobs or something like that. It's really just about us being able to experience life, when you're just essentially locked in a cage, metaphorically speaking, of just work, come back home, work, come back home, work, come back home, it can become your life to the extent that you just can't imagine anything else. And that's why I feel social media has been so powerful in the sense that it's shown people, there are people who can live their lives in a manner that I can only imagine. Not necessarily me, I'm just speaking in general, whether it's traveling, living on a boat, cabin life, individualism, like, basically being as independent as you can from the state. And some of those people just can't imagine that because, in their opinion, like, they're barely getting by. They don't understand how they could ever even accomplish that. Dreams in general have been something that is a oddity, in my opinion. It's something strange. When you're young, they always ask, what's your dream? What do you want? But the moment you become an adult, they feel as though you need to put the dreams away and just do what matters the most, right? Do what matters the most. Do what's the most safe. What's the safest method, But does that safe method give you happiness? And a lot of people like to say, well, happiness is kind of like, a weird concept because you can't have it without other things and blah, blah, blah. And I kind of understand where they're coming from with it. Contentment, happiness, these things are kind of based off of, like, certain things that you have, Now, what those things that you have are, in my opinion, is kind of subjective. It's kind of varied depending on the person. Some say that you need fame. Some say you need tons of money and stuff like that. I would argue that if you can just have, food, water, clothing, shelter, so your needs are met. I'd have to say your needs need to be met. And then you have the ability to have freedom. That is, in my opinion, a good cauldron of something that could make you happy, Because a lot of people who do have those things, their needs are met and they have fame and money, they're still in a cage. It's just a different kind of cage, Still a lot better of a life than, you and I may ever know, but it's still, a prison. They're regulated all the time. They're an icon for people. If they make one mistake, their entire career is over, and they're usually trying to fund a lifestyle that even they themselves can't afford. They're in, like, multi-million-dollar homes. The taxes alone are millions of bucks. Yeah, man, it's something. But I would argue that dreams are something that we usually seem to lose track of. And that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. We should keep dreams, we should keep things, and even if it's something that's, I don't know, even if it's a small dream or a great dream, we should try and pursue those things because, as they basically said in the films, like, essentially a person without a dream is just essentially a husk, They just don't have anything that they want to pursue anymore, and they just get into this, like, loop of doing the same thing over and over, and look how wonderful it is living in a neighborhood like this where your neighbors are really close, right? Where you get to hear dogs all day. One of the many disadvantages of being around other people, But, I digress. I kind of just want to say that I recommend anyone who's kind of, like, just in a bit of a rut to, like, watch that movie. Not movie. Watch that series, because that series is, not series, but that little, anime, it's nice. It kind of speaks to you. It's a very mid anime. It's not good. I wouldn't say it's good by a long shot. It's very mid. But, the message behind it is S tier, easily. So, just a little bit of a short video, I'm feeling pretty good. Not like how I was a bit before, but I feel pretty good. So, if anyone's listening, I want to thank you for that. And, yeah, hang in there, guys. We're in it together. God bless. I'll see you next time.